Hello there, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 179, and this time out we are at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota for game number 6 of the 1968 Minnesota Vikings Project. We're using Momentum Football from Downey Games. And before we get things underway, let's take a look at the Vikings' performance so far, which saying it's disappointing is an understatement. So, last game out, Bud Grant decided to shake things up, started Gary Quazzo at quarterback, replacing Joe Kapp. The Vikings led late in the game, but a comeback touchdown from Billy Kilmer gave the Saints a victory, and they won that game 22-20 over the Vikings, placing the Vikings record after Game 5 at 1-2-2. So now they come home to face the Cowboys. Not an easy task. This is a Cowboys team that finished this season in 1968 at 12-2. Now, we didn't look at the stats last time, but we'll take a quick look at them here. Bill Brown leading the rushing department, 242 yards and 2 TDs. Gene Washington having a great season, 354 yards, 8 touchdowns. Joe Kapp has started 4 of those games. Gary Quazzo started the last one, did throw 2 touchdowns, but also 2 picks. And on defense, Ed Schrockman's leading the team with 3 interceptions. And you can see Fred Cox kicking statistics, pretty consistent there. He is 7 for 9 on the field goals. All right, so for brevity's sake, I have already calculated the defensive control factors and rolled for positional players where there were options, and it's kind of interesting that both Tom Landry and Bud Grant have decided to go with their backups. Grant sticking with Quazzo in this game, and Craig Morton gets the start over Dandy Don Meredith. All right, so we're ready to get underway. The Vikings have a home field momentum of 0, so that's where we'll start the momentum for this one. And we'll roll to see who gets the opening kickoff. Blue is the Vikings, white is the Cowboys, and the Vikings, being the home team, get the nod on a tie. So it's going to be the Cowboys with the first possession. Neither team has an opportunity for a kickoff return for a touchdown. Both teams do have an opportunity to return a punt for a touchdown. So first quarter, Dallas, and we'll take 1 off the clock for the kickoff, and this will be Dallas's first possession. High and low die for the clock. That's 6 and 1 for 7. And let's see, we have 12, 13, 17. So at 12:37 in the first quarter, let's see, 6 and 4 for 10 on the defensive control factor. That is no for the Cowboys. Oh, I did not mention, because of these backup quarterbacks, the offensive grades for both teams have been reduced by 1. All right, so we got a, so we're going to be coming off Dallas's offense, and we roll a 16 there. Or excuse me, a 61. And that is a touchdown run. So a touchdown run for the Cowboys in their first possession here in this game. And we'll see who ran that touchdown in. 45 is Walt Garrison. Just a pinch between your cheek and gums. So Garrison with the touchdown. I'm not worried about stats for the Cowboys. I'm only keeping them for the Vikings in this replay. Okay, extra point is good on an 11-66. And that extra point is good. So that is good. And the Cowboys lead 7-0. That is a momentum-changing play. So it shifts towards the Cowboys. And we get first possession for the Vikings. 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And here we go. All right, so 6 and 1 for 7. 10, 12, 13. So at 9:53, blue and yellow dice are 10. That is coming off of the the Cowboys defensive drive results. 21 is an interception. So Gary Quazzo throws an interception. And that's going to be Mel Renfro. So not a good start for the Vikings. That's also a momentum-changing play. So now it's 2 in Dallas's direction. And we'll go for their next possession. They already lead 7-0. So 6 and 2 for 8 off the clock. And 12, 15, 17 is at 7:17 in the first quarter. We got a 9. So that's going to come off the the Cowboys offensive drive result chart. And a 62 is a touchdown pass for Craig Morton. And that catch was made by Lance Rensel. These names are bringing back some memories. All right, extra point for Mike Clark is good. And we're only halfway through the first quarter, and it's 14-0 Dallas here at Metropolitan Stadium. Okay, another one off the clock for the kickoff. Minnesota receiving. And let's see what the drive results are. We got a 6 and a 2 for 8 off the clock. And 11, 13, 16. So at 4:16 in the first quarter. We have a 5 and 6 for an 11. That is going to fall under the Vikings defensive control. And a 32 is a quarterback sack. The Vikings offensive line has been awful this season. They didn't allow any sacks in the previous game, but 10 sacks to Joe Cap in the first 4 games. So that's a QB sack. And the Cowboys will take possession. They're already at a +2 on momentum, so it can't go any higher. We'll roll for the Cowboys' 3rd possession here in the first quarter. We got a 4 and a 1 for 5 on the clock. And that's 6, 10, 11, 2:31 in the first. A 6 on the defensive control factor, so that is going to come from the Vikings card this time, and a 14. And a 14 is a fumble. Now we have to check. There's no opportunity for the Vikings to return a fumble for a touchdown, but we'll see who recovered that. And 34 is Wally Hillenberg. All right, so that is a momentum-changing play, so it goes back to +1 for the Cowboys. And the score remains 14-0. Next possession for the Vikings. We got a 6 and a 4 for 10 off the clock. It's going to take us into the second quarter at 11, 15, 19, at 14-19 in the second quarter. Will resolve Dallas's possession. So in the first quarter, 14 for the Cowboys, nothing for the Vikings. All right, so we got a 6 and a 4, and that does fall within the Vikings defense control. A roll of a 45. And that is a punt. Now we do have to roll to see if that punt is returned for a touchdown by Bob Hayes. All right, so we need an 11-13 and then a 11-13 on the red and white die, reading the red first, followed by a 32 or less on the blue and yellow. So we do not have a return, but it is a punt, and Dallas takes over early in the second quarter. All right, a 6 and a 3 for 9 off the clock. $12, 16, 19. So 11 minutes and 19 seconds. We got a 9. So that does not fall within the Vikings defense control, and a 64. So we're looking at the Cowboys offense control, and a 64 is another touchdown pass for Craig Morton. And that one was to Craig Bainham. Yes. And point after is good from Clark. And it's now 21-0. Favor of the Cowboys. Momentum shifts again in the Cowboys' direction to a +2. Next possession for the Vikings. We got a 4 and a 1 for 5 off the clock. 4, 5, 6, 8. So at 9:28. We got a 5. That does fall within the Cowboys' defensive control factor, and a 21 is another interception for Gary Quazzo. And I didn't check the last time to see. Let's see who caught that interception, or who made that interception, I should say. 34 is Leroy Jordan. And that cannot be returned for a touchdown. Renfro's also was not eligible to be returned for a touchdown. So that's Leroy Jordan. Momentum is already shifted to +2 for Dallas, so it'll remain there. Cowboys have the ball again with a 21-0 lead about halfway through the second quarter. So we got a 5 and a 1 for 6 on the clock. Seven, 8, 10. That's 7:30 in the second. We have a 5 and a 2 for a 7. That's where we use the momentum factor. So momentum is favoring the Cowboys, so it's going to come from their offensive chart, and it's a 21, and a 21 is an interception. And let's see who picked off that for the Vikings. 16. Paul Krause, Hall of Famer. And there's no chance for Krause to return that for a touchdown. The only one who has that opportunity for the Vikings is Bobby Bryant, but it is a momentum-changing play, so it shifts back to +1 for Dallas. And let's see if the Vikings can get some points on the board here. Got a 6 and a 1 for 7 on the clock. And 11, 12, 16 at 5:16 in the second. We have a 6. That does fall within the Cowboys' defense control, and a 64. And it is a touchdown pass for Gary Quazzo. So the Vikings will get on the board here. And that was to Bill Brown. And that was a 7-yard TD pass. All right, so Fred Cox out for the extra point. First time in this game, and it's good. And it's now 21-7 in favor of the Cowboys. Momentum shifts again back to neutral due to the touchdown. All right, so we take 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And here's Dallas's next possession. It's a 5 and a 2 for 7 off the clock. Eight, 10, 13. A 2:33 in the second. We got a 5. That does fall within Vikings defensive control. And a 53 is a field goal attempt. All right. So Mike Clark is good on an 11-43, and it's good. So the field goal attempt is good for Clark, and that makes the score 24-7. That's only a momentum changer if it gives the team the lead. The Cowboys already had the lead, so the momentum stays neutral. And the Vikings will get another possession, take 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And we got a 4 and a 1 for 5 off the clock. And that's 6, 7, 10. So at 30 seconds in the half, we roll a 6. That does fall under Dallas's defensive control, and a 31 is a quarterback sack. So another sack on Quazzo, and another sack given up by the Vikings offensive line. That shifts momentum back to the Cowboys for the final possession of the half. There's only 30 seconds left, so we'll roll for that. And we get a 4 and a 1 for 5. And clock runs out. So Dallas final possession is the end of half. So at halftime the score is 24-7. So 10 points for Dallas in the second, 7 for the Vikings, and we go to the third quarter. Minnesota will get the ball to start the second half. Take 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And here's their first possession. Got a 5 and a 3 for 8. And we got a 10. That does fall within the the Cowboys defensive control. And a 53 is a key penalty. Oh, I'm sorry. 10, 15, 18. So a 12-18. It's a key penalty. You don't get these too often, so I gotta reference the result charts here. On a key penalty, we roll all 4 die. So it's either the drive has been halted or kept alive by a crucial penalty call on the third down play. It's always in favor of the team currently holding momentum. That would be the Cowboys. So if the penalty is against the defense, the offense, the team must punt. So that's what's going to be the result in this. It's going to be a punt. And we'll see if Bob Hayes can return this for a touchdown. No. So the momentum stays where it is. And Dallas gets their next possession here in the third. We got a 3 and a 1 for 4 off the clock. 9-10. 10-50. Got a 4. That falls within the Vikings defense control. And a 33 is a punt. Now we'll check if Charlie West returns this for a touchdown. And that is a no. So it doesn't change momentum. Vikings get the ball back. They could score here. They could get themselves back in this game. All right, next possession for the Vikes. Got a 5 and a 1 for 6 off the clock. Uh, 10, 13, 14. And 8:54. Got a 4. That falls within the Cowboys' defensive control. And a 55 is a field goal attempt for Fred Cox. And that is blocked. And a field goal attempt that's blocked. This is the first time this has happened as well. Okay. And we do the fumble procedure. So let's see. On a roll of an 11 to 14, this fumble can be returned back for a touchdown by the Cowboys. No, so it's just a blocked punt, or a blocked field goal, excuse me, but it does change the momentum to +2 for the Cowboys. And nothing's going right, or hardly anything's going right for the Vikings. Next possession for Dallas. Got a 6 and a 3 for 9 off the clock. (11, 14, 19). Be 5:59 in the third. We got an 11. That does not fall within the Vikings' defensive control, so a 35 off the Cowboys' offensive chart is a key penalty. And as mentioned before, the key penalty favors the team with the momentum, which is the Cowboys. So, when that happens, you get a free dice roll. And we ignore the defensive control factor. So it's going to come off of the Cowboys' offensive drive results. And it's a 46, and it's a field goal attempt. So the key penalty extends the drive, and it's going to be a field goal attempt for Mike Clark, and it is good, and that makes the score 27-7. I believe Dallas won this game, and I should have looked it up. I believe it was 20-7 was the real life result in this game. So the field goal being good does not increase momentum. Couldn't increase it anyway. The Cowboys already have the lead, so that can't change past +2. So we take one off for the kickoff for the Vikings. And they are being hammered right now. Okay, we got a 6 and a 3 for 9. And 11, 15, 18. So 238 in the third. Let's see, we got a 7. That means we look at the momentum, which is favoring the Cowboys at a +2. So we're going to look at their defensive control. And a 65 is another touchdown pass for Gary Quazzo. Catching that one, Jay Washington for his 9th of the season. And that was an 11-yard reception. Extra point by Cox. Is good. And it's 27-14. That does shift momentum back 1. Dallas will get the ball. 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And we'll resolve the drive. 6 and a 3 for 9. That takes us into the fourth quarter. 11, 14, 19 is at 14-19 in the fourth quarter. Got an 8. Does not fall within the Vikings defensive control. And a 65 is a TD pass. Put this one out of reach from Craig Morton to Lance Rensel again. And Clark with the extra point is good. And it's now 34-14 favor of the Vikings. Shifts momentum back to +2. And we take 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And the Vikings, let's see, a 5 and a 1 for 6. Five does fall within defensive control for the Cowboys, and a 45 is a punt. Actually, I didn't record this here. 8, 13, 14, 11:54. It's a punt. Roll for a punt return. Or actually, we need to... I haven't been doing this, and really you should roll for the punter to see if the ball is returned or if he, kicks it out of the end zone or into the end zone or out of bounds. And on a 35, it is not returned. So that's something I missed. I should have been doing that in the other punts. It was like, two punts, 2 other punts in the game. But Minnesota punts the ball away. Momentum still +2 for the Cowboys. And resolve their next drive. Got a 5 and a 1 for 6. $10, $12, $13, $9.53. 7. That means we use momentum, so that's going to go to the Cowboys. And 15 off of their offense is an interception. And let's see who picked that off. For the Vikings. 55 is Bobby Bryant. So since it's Bobby Bryant, he has the opportunity to return this for a touchdown. But no. But it still does shift momentum back one to the Vikings, and maybe they can make this respectable here. They trail 34-14. Next possession is a 6 and a 3 for 9 off the clock. Ten, 13, 18, 6:58. Got an 8. That does not fall within Dallas's defensive control. And a 64 for the Vikings is another touchdown pass for Gary Quazzo. And that one was to Tom Hall. And it was a 5-yard TD pass. And Cox out for the PAT. It's good. And it's 34-21 here. Late in the fourth quarter. Does shift momentum back to neutral. Dallas will get the ball. 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And we got a 5 and a 2 for 7. And it'll be at 4:11 in the fourth. We got a 4, which does fall within the Vikings' defense control, and a 52 is another field goal attempt for Mike Clark. And it's good. That makes it 37-21. Momentum stays neutral. Minnesota gets the ball. 1 off the clock for the kickoff, and time's running out. Got a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. Got 6, 9, 12, 13. 133. And let's see, we have a 7, so that's where we use momentum on a roll of a 7. Right now it's neutral, so that leans towards the home team, which is the Vikings, and a 33 is a punt. But late in the game, we can turn that punt into a push for a touchdown, and we're going to do that. So, oh no, we can't do it. It says, the rules say we can only do that if we're behind by 8 points or less. So it's going to be a punt. Doesn't shift momentum. See if Bob Hayes returns this for a touchdown. Almost, but not. So momentum remains neutral. Dallas has the ball with 1:20 to go, and I'm going to make a command decision that they run out the... No, you know what? Let's play it. We got a 6 and a 5 for an 11, and that is essentially running out the clock. All right, so Dallas's final drive is the end of the game. And the final score, Dallas comes into Minneapolis, or Bloomington rather, and puts on a clinic and defeats the Vikings 37-21. I didn't record scoring in the third or fourth quarter. Let's see, Dallas had a touchdown. So they picked up 7 in the third. So did the Vikings. And the Vikings picked up another one in the fourth. That's 24-31. And they got 2 field goals in the fourth quarter. The 37-21 final. So that means the Vikings now go. I don't know what Bud Grant's going to do next. The Quazzo experiment hasn't worked. But let's see. The Vikings are going to go to 1-3-2 as we approach the halfway point of the season. And the next game's not going to be easy either. They got to go to Chicago to face the Bears, a division game. All right, well, if you hung out with me, I appreciate it. And I'll be back again in the near future with another video. And until then, take care.